Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Tennant. I'm an actor, a director, a producer, and I'm also a playwright. And I decided to put together a series which would offer some tips to the playwriting process, which hopefully would be useful to newcomers, for people who are wanting to break into the playwriting process. Well, this would talk about everything from starting off with that blank sheet of paper to the script writing process to getting your work staged to getting your works published. Now, I'd like to begin with 5 simple tips, but very important tips when you're getting started in playwriting. Many people may be wondering, well, I'd like to try this, but how do I get started? What do I do? What's the first step that I should take? Let's find out. If you're like me, you've really been taken in by the magic of theater, and maybe now you're thinking about writing your own script, and maybe you'd like to see that script staged somewhere. Maybe you'd like to see that script published so that you can start generating an income for yourself. I've been able to write pretty consistently over the last 27 years, and I've written anything from sketches to puppet shows, one act plays, full length plays, some musicals, and I've never taken a formal stage writing class. Everything that I've learned and everything that I'm about to talk about, I've learned just by doing it. The School of Knox is a pretty wonderful but a pretty brutal teacher. I've never learned if my scripts were successful or not based upon a professor handing me my script back with an A on it. I learned whether my work was successful by watching the reaction of an audience on an opening night or by reading what critics had to say about the work in the paper the next day. Now, most everything that I've ever written has been staged, and probably about half of it has some formal representation with some type of a publisher. Now, I want to talk to the emerging writer in this segment. Like I said earlier, I have 5 tips to offer you. Simple tips, but I promise you they are very profound and they are very important to you getting started in playwriting. So here we go. Tip number 1. Everything begins with a concept and a vision, and then you transfer that vision into the format of a script. But in order for that to happen, you have to develop a writing routine. Now, I've never really known any script writer that's been in it for the long haul who doesn't have some sort of a routine. And when I say a routine, I'm not just talking about when you're going to write. I'm talking about where you're going to write. Where are you going to go? What type of an atmosphere are you going to submerge yourself into so that you can have optimal creativity? Now, for me, and it's different for everybody, but for me, I've discovered that in the afternoon is when I'm at the most creative and I can produce the best material. So, somewhere around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, I go into my backyard and I get in the pool and I start to write. I light up a cigar and I listen to music every single day. I listen to the Pink Floyd album, Wish You Were Here. It just works for me. I've tried other music, I've tried other locations, I've tried other time of day. I didn't just magically one day say, hey, this is it. It just sort of came together. That's my place. I like to go to the backyard in the afternoon, have a cigar, and listen to Pink Floyd and write. And that really works for me. And I can write for a couple hours, and if I can leave with anywhere from 3 to 5 pages of dialogue that day, then I'm pretty happy. I think that that's been a pretty successful day. Now, this is going to be different for everybody. You have to decide what works for you. Now, if you can't write every day, which is what you want to aim for, then you have to at least be writing several times a week. And you have to make your routine intentional. You have to set that time aside. If you don't, it's not going to happen. Life is going to get in the way. You're going to get busy. It's just something that you have to have set aside for yourself. I'm going to take this time and I'm going to go and I'm going to write. And you have to experiment. Like I said earlier, it's not just something that you immediately know. It's something that you have to discover. You're going to discover the time of day that works best for you and the atmosphere that works best for you and the location that works best for you. But developing that routine is so important because if you develop a routine, you can use this not for just this current play you're working on. You can use this for the next 10 plays, the next 20 plays. You have to develop the writer's routine, and that is tip number 1. Here comes tip number 2. Tip number 2 is having a goal in mind for your script, having an end game in place. So you're writing the script, fantastic. What happens when you finish it? You going to have it staged? Perfect. When does it open? Tell me. How much are the ticket prices? What theater group is going to put it on? Where are you doing this at? Who's directing? Who's going to act in it? Do you know? Have you even thought about these things yet? You want to send it to a publisher? Perfect. That's going to be awesome. What publisher are you going to send it to? Have you made up a list of publishers who may be interested in it? You want an agent. Do you have a list of agents that you might send it to and what the requirements might be for them to sit down and read your script? These are all questions that you should be asking yourself. Otherwise, I've seen this far too often. You're going to finish the script and it's going to sit in a desk drawer because you don't know what the next steps are. And these are steps that you should be thinking about right now as you're writing it. When you finish, who gets this script next? Who are you going to pass this script off to? You have to have some sort of an end game in mind for your script so it doesn't just sit there. Maybe you're going to direct it yourself. That's fantastic. Go for it. I've done that many times. Drag that script to the finish line, but make sure that all of your hard work doesn't end up in a desk drawer because you don't know what the next step for this script is. So for our third section, I want to talk about actually getting started on the writing process. Now you've got in front of you the blank sheet of paper, and I have seen this blank piece of paper absolutely terrify other people. They sit down to write, they pick up their pen, and all of a sudden, they don't know where to start. They're not sure what to do. They start thinking, well, maybe today is not the day that I should start writing because I got to think a little bit more about the storyline. I'm not quite sure where it's headed. Yeah, so I got to think about that. And I don't really know the characters too much. I haven't even named them all yet. So maybe I better not start writing yet. You have to start in. Even if it's just sample dialogue, even if you're just doing some exploration, you have to have a starting point. And I think that people are afraid to actually start because once they start writing on that blank sheet of paper, they have the mindset that it's like cement and they're going to be stuck with it and it can't ever be changed. Nobody even has to see your first drafts. Nobody has to see any of that. You only need to show them what you want to show them. This can all be just for you. And a lot of what you write might be junk. That's part of the process. Every playwright that you're going to talk to is going to say that. They've written a lot of junk before they reach something that's golden. I've done that a lot. One of my plays that got published and has done really well for me, I did 20 complete drafts on the thing. The first draft was nothing like the finished product, what I sent into the publisher. It was so totally different, but it evolved, it grew, it got better. But I sure didn't get that on my first time around, and this blank sheet of paper, it changed a lot. It saw a lot of revision. Now, here is a tip that you guys can do. So let's say that you're writing on the blank sheet of paper, and you fill the whole thing up, and you're wondering how much dialogue to keep. Well, you got the whole page now full of dialogue, and let's say that you go through junk, oh, that's horrible, junk. You get to a little section, and you're like, you know what? Out of the entire page that I wrote, this is the only good part of it. Take that good part. Get rid of the rest. Take the good part to a new sheet of paper. And now you're going to start off with a blank sheet of paper that's got really good dialogue on it. And then maybe you start off, okay, good dialogue, junk. Ooh, I wrote another section of really good dialogue. Junk. Take both of your sections of good dialogue. Put it on a new piece of paper. That's the refining process. And you just keep doing that. You write, and yes, you're going to come up with dialogue that you're going to realize is no good. But if you keep refining it, you're also going to end up with really good dialogue, and you're going to be happy. and it's going to encourage you to keep writing and keep coming up with great dialogue. So don't be afraid of that blank sheet of paper. Allow yourself the freedom to write some junk in order to be able to also write some golden material. Tip number 4, when you're not writing, read. Read as many plays as you can get your hands on. Read plays written by different playwrights from different genres, different time periods, different countries, different cultures. See all that's out there. There's some great stuff that'll give you a lot of inspiration. And pick up some autobiographies by different playwrights and get their take on the process. I read some fantastic autobiographies by Neil Simon, and I learned a lot about his own writing process, and it really made a big impact on my own writing process. Also, go see live theater as much as you can. Go see plays that you might not normally enjoy. Go see genres that aren't your cup of tea. You're going to learn a lot from them. Go see Hamlet on ice. Go see the Disney version of Macbeth. Go see Romeo and Juliet done with finger puppets. And you can tell all your friends afterwards, I saw Romeo and Juliet done with finger puppets. It was genius. It was the most remarkable presentation I've ever seen in my life. You're also going to be seeing staging, costuming, lighting design, set design, sound design. You're going to be observing all these elements that then you can take back and put in your own script writing process. So read and go see live theater as much as you can. Tip number 5, you want to stay enthused about your script. You want to do everything that you can to avoid burning out. You want to keep that script at the forefront of your mind, and you want to be excited about it. I've seen so many people that start off writing a script and they get a little ways into it and then they get burned out, they put the script away, they never return to it. If you're in this for the long haul, you want to constantly be enthused about it, and even get a little support group around if that's what it takes. I've done that before. There was a script I was working on called The Cursed Bones, and I was doing this a few years back, and it's a script that is based on the curse that is on William Shakespeare's grave. And the new information that came out a few years back that suggested that William Shakespeare's skull was stolen by grave robbers. I thought that that would be a great idea for a play. So I called up a friend of mine who I would consider to be quite the authority on William Shakespeare. And I called her up and I said, hey, Yvonne, I just want to tell you a little bit about this new project that I'm working on. And do you have a few minutes that you can listen to me talk about it? And we bantered back and forth a little bit, talked about some ideas, talked about some characters, things like that. It was a great conversation. But you know what it did? It got me excited for it. Now, I have no idea if Yvonne really cared what I was doing or not, but it got me excited for it. And I started talking about the script to my friend. And that's what you want, because it allows your idea to start to manifest. Once it leaves you, it goes on to your script. You start talking with other friends about it, telling them, this is what I'm doing. It's slowly starting to come to life. And you want your script to be able to have a life and to breathe. And one day you want to be able to take that script and pass it off to another director and a group of actors. And it starts there. Just start talking about it with an enthusiasm that can't be matched. So I hope that these 5 tips were useful to you. You can subscribe to the channel here. I'm going to put out some more of these. In the next segment, I would like to talk about the architecture of a scene. And that's something that a lot of emerging playwrights don't know about yet. They wonder, well, how do I know how to start off a scene? What should be included in a scene? How long should a scene be? How do I know when the scene is over? What should the scene accomplish? And we'll talk about all that next time. And until then, happy writing.